For adding Firebase messaging for our Android, iOS, and web applications that we made with Flutter, we have some little steps. First of all, I recommend you to use this documentation. It's about FlutterFire, and in here you have a CLI that's help you do configurations very easily and in very short time. Before check this documentation, I wanna use this get started and overview. Here we wanna initialize our FlutterFire CLI. Before we can use this command, we need to add Firebase CLI. You can see this info, and in here you can see this is a Firebase website, and you can very easily add it in your application. For example, I'm in macOS, I use macOS, and in here I need only copy and paste this line in my terminal. I do this before, and after that, after you install your Firebase CLI, you need to add FlutterFire CLI. Let's do this. And you can see I have currently activated. If you have some problem, you need to export this path. I do this. And after that, I can FlutterFire configure. When I use this command, I have nothing because I'm not in a directory that contains Flutter application. Okay, let's before configure our application, we need to create new Flutter project. I use VS Code, new window, and here I use Command Shift and P and new project application. I use this folder, and I called I added. You can see it's creating my application, and after that, in this terminal, I go to my project and Flutter Firebase message, and you can see I'm in this folder, but FlutterFire configure. I use this command, and after that, you see FlutterFire are fetching available Flutter project. I have these project. It doesn't matter. I use Ctrl+C. But before you can do this, we know that we have a Firebase command. I wanna log out from my current account. Log out, and you can see I'm logged out from all my accounts. But when I am Firebase logout, I can FlutterFire configure. I can do this because you can see, because I don't have any FlutterFire. If I use, for example, Firebase projects that's -list, maybe I get error because I don't have any logged in account. Okay, Firebase login. After you use these, I can put yes, and after that you can see I go to my browser to sign in with one of my accounts. I use this account. Hello, and yeah, it's configured, yes, and in here I'm logged in. And after you logged in successful, you can use FlutterFire configure. After that, you can see you have some applications and projects in your Firebase, but you can create a new project, but I tried this and I get error. Because of that, I prefer to create project in Firebase console by myself and do other steps in here. Okay, come and see. and go to my Firebase account. Okay, in here, I am in my console, firebase.google. This is my user that I log in with my FlutterFire and add new project. I use Flutter Firebase. I need to add dash. And continue. I use enable Google Analytics. It doesn't matter for this course. I use this account and create project. Alright, after that you can see this and my projects are built. I minimize this, and if I check again FlutterFire configure, you can see my application and my project. My project is added in here. Flutter Firebase messaging. This is an ID for that. I go that and press enter, and after that you can see configurations for platforms. In this course we don't need macOS. I use a space and uncheck macOS, but we have Android, iOS and web, and press enter. We can do this manually, but it's take time and we can use this. I explain you what happened in here, and when we use Flutterfires are which code added with FlutterFire to our project. I will explain you some codes in here. FlutterFire is because we have Android, it's need to update Gradle. I use Y to handle these. You can see it's done. And when we done these, you can see we have a file in here that add web, Android, and iOS configurations for us. But we have error. And why? Because before doing anything, we need Flutter Firebase core and Flutter Firebase messaging. Let's add it. I use assistant for that. Firebase core. Firebase core, yeah, we need that. And Firebase core is added, and we need Firebase messaging. Yes, Firebase messaging, and yeah, it's added. Okay, my dependencies are got, and in here we don't have any error. Okay, we have some configuration, and what is these configurations? Let's start with Android. When you configure Firebase for your Android application, first of all, you need Google Service JSON. This file is made with FlutterFire. If you want to manually configure your Firebase for your Android, we need to go to your you can see you need to add your Android, but if I refresh that, you can see FlutterFire made 3 applications for me. Flutter Firebase for Android, iOS, and web. You can do this by yourself, and manually you can add it in here. If I use this, you can see in here I'm in Android. If I press this button, you need to add your package name, and after that Firebase give you a Google Service.json. You can see this in here, and you need to add it in your app folder. And if you want to add for your iOS, these applications are made with FlutterFire. And in here, see the sticker instruction. You can see in here we have a download Google Service-info plist. This file is for iOS. If I go to iOS folder, you can in runner, you can see I have a Google Service info plist. It's for iOS, and in Android, Google Service.json for Android. For web, we don't have a file, but I tell you in next step what we need to do. Okay, we have a configurations for 3 platforms, and For checking that everything works fine, let's start with Android. Before I run my application, I need to handle some step. In your main.dart, you need to add initialize Firebase for your application. First of all, I need to widget binding, widget flutter binding .inshare initialize, and after that, I wanna async my main function and await for Firebase .initialize app, and in here we have options. I use default Firebase options current platform. And what's that? And what is this? This is Firebase options that FlutterFire make for us. You can see current platform, maybe it's Android, and you can see if it's Android, we have these configurations, app ID. You can see these items in your console, and we can only add current platform and everything work for us. This is fine for Android. Let's run our application in Android. I bring my emulator in here. Okay, my emulator is up, and let's start our application and check what happened. I get error because I need to change my Minestico version to 19. For do that, I go to my build Gradle in app, and in here I have a Minestico, and I just remove this and pass to 19 and run again. Okay, for checking our code, we need to go to background. I explain you, because if you are in foreground, you need to handle messages in Firebase with another way, but if you are in background, you can see notifications. For check that, I go to my Firebase panel, and in here I go to build, I go to engage, messaging. You can send message from Postman or your server, but I will explain you later. In first step, I want to add and push my notifications from Firebase console. Okay, create your first Firebase notifications and create. Okay, in here I need the title. I add title for Android. This is Android, and we can send notification by ourselves for testing, but I will explain you later. Next, in here we need to add your apps. We have 3 apps, you know that: Android, iOS, and web. But in here I need to check Android. Click Android, next. Scheduling, it's for now, next. And these are optional, we don't need that for now, and click review and publish. In here you can see we have Flutter icon, and if I check this title for Android, and we get our notifications in Android. If I tap that, you can see our application is up. We see that with very short implementation, we have a notifications in our application. We can do more things, I will tell you in this video, but before do extra things, let's check notifications on web. For implementations notifications, Firebase notifications in web and iOS, we need request permissions. Let's do this in here. I have a Firebase messaging, and it's new Firebase messaging.instance, and in here I want to await messaging.request permissions. These request permissions not need for Android, but for iOS and app and web we need that. I use alert true. We need alert. This config is Doesn't matter for now. True. Need badge. CarPlay false. Alert false, and Pro false, and sound true. Okay, let's run in web. I disconnect this and choose my Chrome web and run it again. Okay, you can see my applications is up and it's loading. Yeah, you can see. This is the permissions that in web we need that. I choose hello and we have our applications. Okay, for handle this, I create another tab because when you are in browser and goes to another tab, that means your current applications is background. And I tell you, I need background for now. But this is not work now because we need add two specifications, two code to our applications because Flutter currently need add some JavaScript code to works correctly. And to handle that, goes to web folder, create another file and called Firebase dash messaging dash sw.json, and we need to fill this. We go to the documentations, and in here you can see for usage. I go down for creating this, background message for web. We need to add this code to our JS file. This imports some scripts, and in here we need to fill this data with our configurations. I go to my Firebase console, and if you go to your project settings, go to cloud messaging, go to your general, and in here, if you go to your web apps, you can see the configurations for JavaScript. We have a Firebase config. These items here is for your application. I copy these, and after that, I add my const final and replace with these JSON Firebase config and saved. And we need to add these in my index HTML with, you can see in here, after you add these, you can see in here, you need this script in end of your tags in your index HTML. In body, I have another script, and after that, I add this script and saved. Firebase send and create a token for each device, and we can store this token in our database, in our local database or server database, and send notifications to each user or each device. For checking these, I use developers.google oAuth playground. Enter, and in here you can see we have a 3-step. I go to 3rd step, and in here I need authorize API for Firebase messaging. Authorize API, and after that it's need to sign in with one of my accounts. I know that this account is for my Firebase, and my applications and projects are initialized in this account. I choose this and allow, and after that exchange, click exchange, and in here you can see I have some times, and after that this token is expire. You can see this access token. These configurations it's not for us because we are only care about client, but I show you example that how you can test for yourself. Change get to post, and you need add this request. Projects, these sections is for project ID, and where you can find this, you can go to your general, your project settings and general, and here you have project ID. Copy this and paste it in here, and after that you can see after slash message sent. We need a create request body. This is a default request body. I remove this token. This token, it's about and for each device. I remove these. And let's change body and title. This is for web test and FCM message is okay. And how I can get this token? For web, for default, you can run this Firebase messaging.get. We have messaging. I can messaging.get token, and this is async future. I can await and get final token, and this is stored in this in this variable. But before that, you can see we have a webid key. This webid key is for web, and for generate these, you need to go to your project setting and cloud messaging, and after that in web push certificate generate new key, and you need to copy these and goes to your project and paste here, and this is my token. Let's print it to use that token. Okay, and run again my application. My application is up. Let's wait to allow notification. Hello. And I want to go to background, create another tab. And in here, if I go to my debug console, you can see I have my token. Copy. And in here, I need to put my token in here and close. Send this request. You can see we have not error and my request is sent. And let's check my notifications. And you can see I'm in Mac. In Windows it's different, but I have a notifications bar, and in here I have FCM message. This is my website. This is localhost for now, and this is for web test. Exactly this body. Let's configure for iOS. We know that we use FlutterFire and we have a Google Info plist, but we need some more steps for iOS. And first of all, I need to mention you can't test iOS notifications with simulator. This is not support in iOS simulation. You need to check in real device, but you need to buy and you need to have a developer account, or you have to join in a team, for example, for your company to test that. Currently, I don't have, but I explain you how you can configure. First of all, open Xcode. I am opening my project. In my project, I know that my Flutter Firebase messaging in iOS and workspace. Open. Okay, in here, in your runner, first of all, you need to add capabilities. I click that. Push notifications. You have to add these capabilities in your applications. And after push notifications, click again and background modes. After add background modes, you have to check background fetch and remote notifications. Okay, we are done in Xcode, and final step for iOS is in here. You need to go to your Apple Developer Member Center and create a APNs certificate and download it and after you download it, you need to upload your P8 file. And after that, everything fine, and you can run your project in your real device, or you can send it in test flight or App Store and test. But if you have a developer account, you can connect your device to your Mac, and from Xcode you can run it in your mobile device. You can't run in simulator. It's not like Android. Until now, we'll learn how to show notifications in Android, web, and iOS. We see some configurations, we see webkit key and how we can send notifications in background. But how we can notice user in foreground? Firebase block notifications when you are in foreground, but you can handle it with another listener. I go to my home page, and in my init state, in here I use Firebase messaging.onMessage.listen, and in here I can listen to new messages. You can see in here we have a remote message. For example, if I get a new message, I check if event.notifications it's equals null. I use return, and otherwise I want to return. For example, I want to show a dialog. This is a dialog. I want to, for example, return a column, and this column is main axis alignment dot center, cross axis alignment dot center, and it's have a one child, for example, a container width 200 and height 200, and for example colors dot white, and for child I wanna use a column again, and in here I have a text. This text is about event dot notifications dot title. It's maybe null. I use this, and another text for body. Okay, body, and some space we can add in here, for example 8, and it's good for now. Let's run first and run and check first in Android. My application is up, and you can see we have a token. I copy this token, and yeah, I have it. I think, yeah, I can put it in here and send request. You can see I have my message. This need to be changed, but if I'm in background and again send, you can see I get a notifications. And let's check when I'm in foreground. It's need to wrap with a widget. I call it material because we don't have material. We have a weird things. Oh my god. We need to refresh again and send, and you can see I get my Firebase notification. It's need to have some decoration. It's maybe take a time. I need to change the size, but we can handle it in foreground. And let's check in web. Okay, I'm here in web, and let's allow notifications, permission, allow, and I think, yeah, in my debug, yeah, I have my token. Let's copy and change the token in here and paste and close and send request. And you can see I get a full screen dialog in my website. And in here, we can handle messages in foreground. Okay, let's add another feature. I want to create a features that help me when I tap to the notifications forward and redirect me to a specific page. For example, consider we have a chat application, and when we receive a message and user press the notifications, we want to redirect user to this chat page, not home page, because default behavior of notifications, when you click on that, you redirect to home page and start application. If your application is dismissed and terminate, your application will open. But if you are in background mode, for example, if you press home, you back to foreground. But I wanna handle redirect and navigations. Let's create another page. For example, I have chat page.dart, and this is a stateless widget, chat page. Let's import material, yes. And it's very simple scaffold with app bar and app bar title. This is a text. I send, for example, chat page. We have this page. And let's add rows. I know that I have a my home page. I bring this title in here, and we know that we have a chat. Add chat and chat page. Nice. And we need to remove home and add initial rows. And for the first, we go to my home page. Okay, it's good. And how I can handle this? I know that, okay, I have a chat page, but when and where we need to specify listening to new notifications, tap, and redirect user. Okay, for handle this in my home page, I want to create for example, void handle navigations. This is a method that it's get remote message. This send from our notifications, and we can check what data in that. Let's check an example. In here, when I wanna add my body, I have a notifications. Okay, this is body, title, and some specific items. But I wanna add another object to my JSON. This object is called data, and with data, I wanna handle extra things. For example, let's add a type, and this type is chat. We can receive this data and this JSON in my remote message. I have this. Let's check. If you check message.data, you can see when you put data object, you can receive it in your Flutter. Okay, I have this data, and let's get type. But before that, let's check if message.data type equals chat. That means we get chat notifications. Okay, and in here, I use navigator. You can use, for example, getX navigator or everything you have. For example, you can use GoRouter, but I want to keep it simple. Navigator dot push named. We have a push named because we define that, and chat. You can, for example, send some specification. For example, you have a username in here or some data in that. For example, ID, chat ID. You can receive these and put as an argument to your page. But let's keep it simple. Okay, I handle this, but I need to call this. And where? Okay. I want to create another method, feature void. This is a feature but void. Okay, for example, setup message. This is a async because we have a feature. And in here, let's check. In remote message, we have a remote message equals await Firebase messaging dot instance dot get initial message. We get message, and after that we have to check if this message not null, we handle navigations. We know that, okay, we have a get initial message and handle it. But we need a listener to open app. And that means, okay, maybe we have get initial message, we handle it, but we need to listen to opening app. We have another concept, Firebase messaging dot on message open app. We need to listen this, and we know that this event is remote message, and we can just handle navigation in here. And we have this. Okay, let's run our application and check what happened. Run. But I'm sorry, we have more steps. We don't call it. In my initial state, setup message, I call it in here, and again run. Okay, my application is up. I need to go to background because when I'm in foreground, until now we don't have any notifications. We have a dialog. Let's put it in background. Let's get token, copy this token, and add in here. Okay, we know that we have a data chat, close and send request, and we get a notifications. I click that, and you can see I redirect to chat page. But if I remove this data, or for example, we have a profile type, this need to go to profile, but we don't have profile. Let's close, send it again, and when I click that, just open application. But we can handle it in here and add another if or switch. If type is profile, push to profile. Final things that I want to mention, that you see that when we are in foreground, we didn't receive notifications. We just can handle and listen new notifications and do something. But Firebase blocked notifications in foreground. We can add it by ourselves with a package. We have a Flutter local, in here we have a Flutter local notifications, and with that we can handle it. Let's copy and add it on in our project. With Flutter local notifications, you can send local notifications. It's not depend on Firebase, and it is a package that's very helpful for example, you have an alarm application, you can add it to your project and use it, for example, in each time you need send notification to user. But I want to use it for my foreground notifications. In public YAML, I add my dependency. Okay, we have this, but let's check documentation, and this is not for web, this is for Android, iOS, Linux, and macOS. Let's bring iOS and Android config in our application. In here, I wanna go to, first of all, iOS setup. I go to iOS setup, and in here, if you are Objective-C, you need to add these. Otherwise, in Swift, you need to add this line. And where is this? I copy this because I have Swift, and in my project, I need to go to iOS, runner, app delegate.swift, and you can see I have these, and after that, I add my code in here. I need to some cleaning, and in here, yeah. I have these, and yeah, I config for Swift. It's done. It's done. And in Android, we have some more steps, but it's in Android setup. I go to Android setup. We have these. You can add, for example, window manager. It's some complicated things you can add it, but it's not important in this course. Let's use this. You need to request permission in Android 13, and everything is worked. Let's go to main and initialize something in my init state for Flutter notifications in local. You can change and put these configurations in another method to keep everything is clean, but I do it in here. I have a final Flutter local notifications plugin, and Flutter local notification plugin equals Flutter plugin. I have these. Okay. We have initial settings for that. I want to add initial settings for Android and iOS. I have const Android initialize settings equals, or initialize Android initialize settings equals Android initialize settings. We need a default icon. Default icons, we know that in MipMap, in Android app src, in main, res, and in MipMap, we know that we have IC launcher. For access to this IC launcher, you need to add is and MipMap IC launcher. Nice. Let's add Darwin initialization settings is for iOS. Darwin initialization setting. And after that, we have initialization setting equals initialization. And in here, you can see, you can add your configurations for that. We have for Android and iOS, Android, and iOS, IO, or Darwin. Yeah. We can put it const. Everything is correct. We have our initialization setting. But before we initialize Flutter local notifications, let's create a channel. We know that in Android, we have a notifications channel, okay? Let's add an Android notification channel with Flutter local notifications. Const Android notification channel, a channel equals Android notification channel. I want to add, for example, message, name is message. I'm sorry, it's here. We can add a description. I want to add description for that. This is for Flutter Firebase. And it's very important, add importance to max. In here, I want to create my channel. This is a method because it's async and we can't async our init state. I put it in another method. I added in here, void create channel, and this channel, it's need to get Android notification channel, and in here, final Flutter local notification plugin equals Flutter local notification plugin, yeah. And after that, await plugin dot resolve platform specific implementation. Okay, and this is the Android Flutter plugin, and in here we can create notification channel, and we have this channel and everything it's work. We need add async in here, and yeah, in here we create a notification channel because we know that in Android we have to create channel, and in our channels we can send notifications. Okay, in here I need to put channel in here, and yeah, and after that let's Flutter notification plugin and initialize with initialize settings. We initialized everything for our notifications. Okay, but before add some code in here, let's remove this because I don't want to show dialog. I want to show notifications. But before that, we need to go to Android manifest. In Android app source, and in main Kotlin, Android manifest. In here, in end of your application, before application is closed, you need add a metadata. You have to add this metadata to pass your to specify and tell to Firebase use this channel for your notifications. If you don't do that, it doesn't problem, but I wanna put importance maximum to background and foreground notifications. I tell the Firebase notification, I tell to Firebase use my channel. I need to add a message. This is my ID. You see that in here I use in messages. You need to add this metadata in your manifest to tell the Firebase use this for default notification channel. Let's go to and after I listen new message in foreground, I check if event. Let's change event to okay. I know that I have a final notification. It's event dot notification, and I have a final Android. It's for Android specific. Android event dot notification dot Android, and if notifications not null and Android not null, Flutter local notifications plugin dot show. Okay, we need ID. I use notification dot hashcode for ID, and for title notification dot title, and in here notification dot body and notification detail. Where is that? We need to create it. Notification details. In here I have Android notification details, and what is my channel ID? I have my channel dot ID and channel dot name, and channel description. I have a channel dot description, and I have an icon Android dot small icon. But in web, this doesn't work. You need check if you are in web. For example, you can handle it with dialog. You see that, but we know that Flutter local notifications not worked in web. Okay, and make sure you test on your iOS. I tell you need to buy and have Apple membership and test that to work correctly on iOS, maybe you need to add some details and specifications for iOS, but it's very simple to that. Okay, let's close and run again. Okay, my app is up, and let's send notifications. Send request, and you can see my notification because it's importance to max. It shows in here, and I have my notification. Let's dismiss it. Goes to background, and you can see. I hope this is useful for you. I'm sorry I don't have a iOS and Apple membership. You can test it. It's not very hard. If you have any questions, please tell me in comments.